There is a fantastic early stroke song called In Her Prime. Let's take a quick listen to this kind of pre-chorus section because there's something really interesting going on here. Let's have a look at this note that appears here and then plays throughout the second bar of music, because it's a little unusual. This is an E note, and it's a very interesting note to be playing here, because as we can see, it's playing underneath this constant D chord here. Now, usually we'd have a D note here. That would be the most obvious and common note to find here, but we could also expect to find something a little more exotic, say an F sharp or an A, these being the third and the fifth of the chord respectively. And then that would mean that we have a chord inversion, and that would certainly result in something a bit more harmonically interesting than, say, just a chord in its root position. That's not what we have here. Here we have a D chord with an E in the bass. So maybe this is actually an E chord, a very jazzy E chord. Well, I don't think that's the case, as we don't have either the third or a fifth of an E chord in this resulting chord. And Western music is very much based on this idea of stacking thirds. Now, it is true that there's something called quartile harmony, but I don't think that's what's going on here either. Okay, so maybe this is a type of D sus chord in an inversion. Well, that's not the case either, because in a sus chord, the third of the chord is omitted, and we have the third of the chord here. Okay, so one last go. Maybe this is an add 9 chord in some sort of inversion, right? Well, I suppose that could be true, but it would be fairly unusual to see the fifth or the seventh of the chord in the bass, but the added ninth? Well, that would be a bold move. Instead, what I think is going on here is that the composer, Julian Casablancas, is thinking and writing in a contrapuntal manner. He's viewing these bass notes not merely as a part of a chord which itself is there just to serve the vocals, but rather as an independent melody of its own. Counterpoint is a style of writing music in which each voice has as much weight and importance as every other voice, as opposed to something like homophony, where one voice is more important than the others. In a scenario like homophony, we may have a melody and it is supported by chords. In this case, the melody is more important than the harmony. Now, in counterpoint, we can have two different voices, independent musical lines, each one with their own melody and their own rhythm, and each is as important as the other. And the amazing thing is that when we play them both simultaneously, they work together to make a cohesive harmony. Now, this can be very difficult to do, as you imagine, and there are lots of rules around writing counterpoint. It can be very much like trying to do a crossword puzzle or a Sudoku. Now, I'm not suggesting that the song here by The Strokes is a contrapuntal piece of music. For that, we'd have to listen to something like a fugue. But what I'm saying is it has elements of counterpoint. And we know through interviews that Julian has studied 4-voice harmony. So he knows what he's doing here. And we can hear that in the music. And it explains and shows why Julian can get so much music out of just 3 basic chords. C, D, and G here. These are the chords that we learned very early in our musical quest. Now, there is a YouTuber here on YouTube called Matty Gregg who does some brilliant work explaining the contrapuntal nature of Strokes songs. So if you like this stuff, I strongly suggest you check him out. Now, if you're interested in songwriting in general, then please join me in my ongoing series, Writing 100 Songs, where we discuss everything from counterpoint, homophony, lyrics, rhyme structure, modal mixture, borrowed chords, the whole gamut of songwriting. Please join me there.